Now, there's always religious focus on Jerusalem at Easter, of course, and especially so this year, with Easter, Passover and Ramadan occurring all at the same time. So there's Christian, Jewish and Muslim observances occurring in Jerusalem side by side over the past few days. Tragically, there's been an escalation in violence, with indiscriminate rocket attacks fired into Israel from Gaza, Lebanon and from Syria. And of course, there have been Israeli military responses to try to knock out those rocket installations. But there have also been shocking terror attacks in Israel, taking at least 3 innocent lives.
A car being driven directly at pedestrians on a beachside promenade, veering off, flipping over, then bursting into flames. The vehicle ploughing into a group of tourists in Tel Aviv, killing 1 and leaving 7 others injured. The man killed, Alessandro Perini, a 35-year-old Italian lawyer.
48 hours after they were shot dead in their car whilst driving through the West Bank, Maya and Rina D, 2 sisters, were laid to rest at a funeral in the settlement of Kfar Etzion. Their mother, Lucy, is still in hospital fighting for her life.
Maya and Rina, you've inspired us, you've loved us, and in turn we will love you forever.
Incredibly, in a way that's become all too predictable, the way these horrible events are portrayed by the world's media is often pretty distorted against Israel. And that's usually the case here, of course, with the ABC. Have a listen to this.
It happened on the same day as a car rammed a group of tourists in Tel Aviv.
A car? A car rammed a group of tourists? Really? This stuff is as absurd as it is obscene. The car, of course, was driven by a person, a murderous person, a terrorist. Let's go to CNN and they can show the ABC how to relay the relevant facts.
1 tourist is dead and at least 7 other people are wounded after a terrorist attack in Tel Aviv.
Then, in this BBC report that was broadcast by the ABC here, look how there's a quick shift from the horror of how those 2 women were murdered to who was mourning them.
They were travelling from their West Bank settlement to the Sea of Galilee for a family holiday this week when their Israeli car came under fire. Among the mourners today, Israel's National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, a hard-right leader who was once a member of a banned extremist group. Really? The hard-right mourners? Why did they include that, do you think, in their report? What about mentioning that Hamas was celebrating these murders? Now, that's unspeakable, and it's certainly relevant. But listen to the ABC's interviews with the same Israeli journalist, and the preferred narrative becomes very clear.
Israeli journalist Ayala Panievsky says tensions have escalated in the region since Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu returned to power with a far-right coalition government.
A government that is led by a prime minister that is very much limited by his own legal entanglements and very extremist partners in his coalition that end up provoking increasing violence in the region. But what you've seen happening in the past couple of months is 2 main things. And the first one is the establishment of the most far-right government in the history of Israel. And this caused many policies that were seen by Palestinians in Israel, in the West Bank, in Gaza, and also Muslims around the world as provocations and increasing the tension and kind of encouraging hostile forces to act.
Yeah, they want you to believe it's the Netanyahu government, apparently, and right-wing Israelis in general who provoke this strife. Yeah, seeking to portray the slaughter of innocent people, Israeli residents and even tourists, not as the sickening work of the perpetrators or the terrorist organisations who encourage and support them, but as the inevitable reaction to Israeli governments and people defending their nation. This is sick stuff. It's just so biased, it's callous, it's not factual, and it is a form of victim blaming. Sadly, in Middle East coverage, it's all too common.